Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're doing a rapid but really thorough assessment of some global flashpoints. We're looking at major political pivots and some emerging conflicts.
Yep.
We're going to cut straight through the noise using the sources you've provided just to understand how this high-stakes geopolitical drama, everything from infrastructure sabotage in Eastern Europe all the way to the dark side of online influence, is actively reshaping the world right now.
And what's so fascinating here when you look at the sources is the context. You see this interconnected world where these top-tier geopolitical tensions are just crashing right up against very localized, sometimes personal, failures of accountability. We're seeing how major global politics and really intense personal friction are now playing out so publicly and so digitally. It demands our attention.
So our goal is to give you the critical context and the most surprising details behind these events. Think of this as your shortcut to being well-informed on what's been happening this past week. Let's jump straight in. Geopolitical friction and critical infrastructure.
I think we have to start in Poland. Specifically, this incident near a village called Mika, where Prime Minister Donald Tusk confirmed what he called an unprecedented act of sabotage.
That's right. The incident involved an explosion, and it severely damaged the railway track that connects Warsaw and Lublin.
A critical route.
And Tusk, he didn't mince words at all. He came out and explicitly said the damage was from a detonated explosive device.
He did. He said it was directed against the security of the Polish state and its citizens. A very bold confirmation of an intentional hostile act.
And this is where the context gets really crucial, because initially spokespersons for the Ministry of Internal Affairs were kind of trying to downplay it.
Right. Someone named Karolina Galaka. She was suggesting there was no immediate evidence of third-party actions, but then Tusk just publicly overruled them.
So what does that tell you, that internal tension?
Well, it shows a visible political struggle within the Polish security apparatus over who controls the narrative. Tusk clearly pushed hard for that sabotage label, and it's because of the route's significance.
Okay, so why is this specific route so sensitive?
Because it is, and I'm quoting here, critically important for delivering massive amounts of military and humanitarian aid into Ukraine.
Oh, okay.
So Tusk's confirmation of sabotage strongly suggests the explosion was aimed at disrupting a specific train, a transport train, traveling on that Warsaw to Dublin route.
So this elevates it. This isn't just vandalism. This is foreign interference aimed right at NATO's supply chain to Ukraine.
That's exactly what it looks like.
Okay, let's pivot from, attacks on physical infrastructure to the murky, high-level politics of defense procurement inside Ukraine itself. This is where we see that conflict between international security needs and domestic corruption cleanup playing out in real time.
Indeed. We've got this announcement that former U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo has joined the advisory board of a Ukrainian defense company called Firepoint.
Right, and they make long-range drones and missiles, so critical hardware for the war.
Exactly, and the announcement was framed as a move toward maximally clear and high corporate standards, especially as they expand internationally.
And Firepoint is definitely expanding. They're opening a new factory in Denmark. They recently hosted high-profile visitors like U.S. Special Envoy Keith Kellogg. So on the surface, it looks like a really successful Ukrainian defense company that's securing vital Western support.
And that's the public relations success story. But here is the critical complication, the essential nuance you really need to know.
Okay.
The very same company, Firepoint, is currently under investigation by Ukraine's National Anti-Corruption Bureau, NABU.
The bureau that's tasked with tackling high-level corruption.
The very same one.
So isn't having Mike Pompeo on the board while you're simultaneously facing a ABU investigation, isn't that deeply counterproductive? Or does that foreign political clout just override the domestic legal risks?
Well, it highlights the tension perfectly.
Yeah.
For the West, right, securing reliable access to munitions, maintaining supply lines, that's the security imperative.
Right.
But for Ukraine's own reformists, rooting out endemic profiteering is the governance imperative. Our sources reveal that NBU suspects Firepoint of, allegedly misleading the government.
How so?
Either by drastically overstating their production costs or by inflating the quantities of drones they said they delivered to the military.
And who is suspected to be the ultimate beneficiary of this whole alleged scheme?
The suspicion is that the ultimate beneficiary is a man named Timur Mindich. He's a co-owner of the Kafartal 95 studio, which, for context, is the production company President Zelensky founded and worked with for years.
So he's a longtime associate of the president.
A very long-time associate. And this case really reveals that immediate conflict between Western security interests and Ukraine's own internal struggle against defense profiteering, especially when the profits are allegedly traced back to politically connected people.
And Mindich reportedly left Ukraine after searches related to other procurement scandals.
He did.
Wow. That's a sharp distillation of how geopolitical tensions are just completely tangled with political patronage and accountability failures. When you see corruption that closely tied to high-stakes defense, it just fuels massive public distrust.
Absolutely. And that distrust in incumbent governance, that is the perfect thematic bridge we need to cross now, moving dramatically to South America. We're seeing this anti-incumbent wave expressed in the presidential runoff in Chile. It reflects a really powerful regional trend.
And the first-round results were incredibly telling about the mood of the Chilean voter right now.
They really were. The far-right candidate, José Antonio Kast, he's an ultra-conservative lawyer. He secured about 24% of the vote, and he is heading into a runoff against the Communist Party candidate, Janet Jara, who took a little more, around 26%.
Now, if you just look at that 24-26 split, it looks like a close classic left-right race. But the actual political math, it heavily favors Kast. Why is that?
Because nearly 70% of the entire first-round vote went to right-wing or center-right candidates.
Wow.
So the crucial insight here is the overwhelming and immediate alignment of the right. Other defeated conservatives, like the radical libertarian Johannes Kaiser, who got 14%, and Evelyn Matthei with 13%, they instantly endorsed Kast.
Why so quick? Why the immediate unity?
Well, their shared, you could say, existential goal is to prevent what they call the lefty impoverishers from winning power. They're consolidating behind the candidate who's perceived as having the firmest hand on security and the economy.
So it signals that anti-incumbency and this demand for order are powerful enough to unify all these different conservative factions.
Exactly. It seems to be overriding their traditional ideological differences, and we're seeing that across the region.
And Kast is really capitalizing on this. This is his third presidential run, and his platform is explicitly built on cracking down hard on crime and illegal immigration. He's using a clear Donald Trump-style pledge to put Chileans first.
And he's getting very specific about it. He's pushing this plan called Escudo Fronterizo, the border shield.
Border shield.
Yep. It foresees the construction of ditches, barriers, walls, all along the northern border. He's not subtle about it at all. He's even referenced achieving self-deportation ratios similar to what was seen during the Trump administration.
And his overall security model, it's openly inspired by El Salvador's leader, Nayib Bukele.
The authoritarian leader, yes. Known for his sweeping, very controversial crackdown on criminals, which, despite human rights concerns, has massive popular support.
So if we connect this to the regional context, this Chilean election is just extending a trend we're seeing all over the continent.
It is. Whether it was Argentina electing the radical libertarian Javier Milei or recent conservative wins in Bolivia, Ecuador, Panama, the message is clear. Voter discontent is high.
And security and stability are paramount.
They are the top concerns, leading to this measurable swing away from leftist politicians who gained power right after the pandemic.
And if Kast wins, it sounds like his agenda will have a relatively clear path. Right-wing parties are expected to hold a decisive majority in their lower house of Congress.
That would significantly ease the implementation of that security-focused agenda, yes.
It just raises this profound question. Is this shift purely ideological? Or are voters just demanding immediate, tangible results on crime and instability, and they see the firm hand approach, even one inspired by Bukele, as the only practical solution left?
It's a key question.
That desire for immediate stability and accountability
It
really spills over into our next segment. How extreme behavior and conflict are now mediated by the digital world. Our sources show this conflict spilling onto social media, from global atrocities all the way down to highly local disputes.
Let's look at a deeply disturbing case out of Sudan involving the ongoing conflict there. It's the case of Abdelmanem al-Rabia, a 44-year-old British citizen based in Sheffield, of all places.
And he became a high-profile propagandist for Sudan's Rapid Support Forces, the RSF militia.
A very high-profile one. He was recently removed from TikTok, where he had a massive following, 240,000 followers, and also from YouTube for violating their policies.
But the key anecdote that shows his brazenness is just horrifying.
It is. He was on a TikTok live broadcast, and he was seen laughing with an active RSF fighter known as Abu Lulu. This is a fighter who has appeared in videos showing the killing of unarmed people.
Unbelievable.
And he reportedly boasted on the broadcast, "Today I killed 2,000 people and then I lost count." And during that same stream, Al Rabeah reportedly used a slur against indigenous Darfur ethnic groups.
So this is not just some online cheerleading. I mean, analysts describe him as potentially the RSF's most influential social media activist, a key recruiter.
And his influence is tangible. He's reportedly traveled to Darfur at least twice since the war began. He was able to post videos from El Fasher while the city was under RSF control.
So his ability to move on the ground in a conflict zone suggests an operational influence. He's more than just an enthusiastic supporter online.
Much more. He was actively contributing to the group's propaganda and recruitment efforts on a global scale.
Now let's zoom in to a bizarre, but I think highly instructive case of digital validation driving harmful behavior in Singapore. We have this incident where a man named Wen was jailed for public nuisance after grabbing the singer Ariana Grande at a movie premiere.
Right, and Wen was referred to by prosecutors as a serial intruder. He was explicitly seeking online popularity by publicizing his disruptions.
He'd done this before.
Oh, yeah. He'd previously targeted events with Katy Perry, The Weeknd, several sporting events. He tried to breach security twice at the Grande event before he was detained, and then later posted videos of it online, celebrating what he did.
The insight here is so crucial because the impact went beyond just a physical intrusion. Ariana Grande has spoken publicly about experiencing post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, after the Manchester bombing in 2017.
Right.
So for many people, this wasn't just a physical boundary violation. It was seen as re-traumatizing her, and it was amplified by this intruder's quest for digital fame.
It perfectly illustrates how the hunt for online engagement can drive genuinely harmful narcissistic behavior. It completely blurs the line between physical safety and digital spectacle. People are literally willing to commit crimes for clicks.
And that blurring line, between private communication and public safety, it extends even to the most local of conflicts. We have a detail here about a local dispute involving a WhatsApp arrest.
This involved a radio producer and counselor, a Mr. Allen, and his partner, Rosalind. They were arrested after complaining vigorously about a local school on a private WhatsApp chat.
Arrested for a WhatsApp chat. The outcome is remarkable. They settled with the police for £20,000.
They did, and they recalled that the strongest remark they made was calling a senior school person a control freak.
A control freak?
In a private chat. That somehow ended up in the hands of the authorities. This is a powerful, localized example of how the perceived sanctity of private digital communication is just being instantly challenged when it involves institutional friction.
It forces you to ask, how are authorities accessing and interpreting these private exchanges? The private sphere is rapidly vanishing.
It seems to be.
As a sobering footnote to these high-stakes conflicts and safety failures, we do need to acknowledge two large-scale tragedies that just highlight the fragility of infrastructure and safety standards in other parts of the world.
A quick snapshot. In Saudi Arabia, there was a horrific bus accident near Medina. It involved Indian pilgrims traveling from Mecca for Umrah.
And it resulted in a significant loss of life.
It did. Witnesses reported 42 Indian nationals killed after the bus collided with a tanker. It's a recurring tragic reminder of the dangers of pilgrimage travel and road safety in that region.
And then in Southeast Asia, the consequences of structural instability compounded by heavy weather.
Correct. In Vietnam, a landslide buried a passenger bus on the Con La Mountain Pass. Sadly, it killed 6 people and injured 19 others.
And that area is highly prone to landslides.
Extremely prone.
Yeah.
And rescue efforts were severely complicated because heavy rain had caused landslides on both sides of the road, completely blocking access. It's a stark example of how extreme weather and geological instability continue to challenge basic infrastructure and safety.
So that brings us to the end of our deep dive. We've distilled, I think, 3 key themes for you. The high-stakes political risk involving infrastructure sabotage and corruption, like in Poland and with Firepoint.
Right. Then there's the velocity of that powerful anti-incumbent political wave, which we're seeing across the globe, but especially in Chile.
And finally, how local and global conflict now involves propagandists, serial intruders, even parents using digital platforms to amplify their actions and their grievances.
And the overarching common thread, the thing that ties all of this together is the speed. The speed and interconnectedness of information flow, and then the consequential action. Whether it's political support consolidating so rapidly behind Kast in Chile, or the immediate global accountability that leads to the deplatforming of a propagandist for the RSF, knowledge and consequence move faster than they ever have before.
The stakes are just raised for everyone involved. So what does this all mean for you as you process this interconnected information?
Well, considering the political success of candidates like Kast in Chile, who prioritize aggressive security and promises of stability, and you look at the immediate decisive response to infrastructure threats in places like Poland, you have to ask yourself, are we witnessing a global shift?
A shift where voters and governments are prioritizing firm hand security and stability above almost all other policy considerations.
Exactly. Even at the expense of traditional freedoms or established political processes, it's something to consider as you watch these demands for order continue to unfold globally.